It's the Weekly Wrap with your host, broadcasting legend Bruce Wolf, and his trusty sidekick, comedian Tim Slagle. And now, without further ado, Bruce Wolf.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. And Tim, I can guess where you are in 3 notes.
Yeah.
You're sitting in Biden's Corvette right now, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm actually in between the wall and the Corvette. Actually, I'm looking at the Corvette.
You are. And are there grease stains on in the garage?
No, but there is a 10 millimeter socket, so somebody was actually working on something here.
Oh, it's interesting. You know, and I think what's going to really come out of this, the worst thing is that that the guy wasn't driving a hybrid. I mean, those Corvettes are gas guzzlers, aren't they? What year was that Corvette that he's seen in 2020?
That's like a 62, I think. It looks like about a 62, 63. I don't know my Corvettes, but that's my rough guess.
It would be great if he just denied it, because I mean, he can do that. I mean, he gets,
Well, yeah, he could say I had no idea what was in my garage.
Or no, I never even drove a Corvette. I mean, even though he's seen it, I mean, that's how good he is. But
here's the thing, though. Okay, doesn't this really warrant us to search? If he doesn't even know where all the documents are, it's believable. He's at that age where I'm sure he can't even find his keys. The Corvette, but that picture is probably the last time that the Corvette's been moved.
Yeah,
so let's no idea where the keys are. So I mean, it warrants a search of all his homes, all his offices. Just out of goodness for the old man.
Who's going to score that wonderful trip to Delaware? I don't know. We'll talk more about that. We're teasing this a couple of segments down the way, but the big news, of course, is, I mean, last week when we were on, we were talking about Kevin McCarthy in his. I think we were at about the 11th ballot, and it took only 15, and it got done. The problem is, well, first off, I don't know. I think at the top of the show we showed some of the rumble on the floor going on, and the C-SPAN cameras have been banned. They're going to be going with the regular house cameras, which can edit out a lot of the fun stuff, like Gosar talking to AOC or whatever, and the fighting. But I'm actually in favor of keeping the C-SPAN cameras out of there, because somewhere along the line, these guys have to caucus. And if they're playing to the cameras all the time, it just doesn't work. I mean, maybe they have to barricade themselves behind glass doors and prevent Ashley Babbitt from coming through with a camera while they're caucusing. But yeah, I mean, do you care about this camera issue?
Well, for our younger listeners, I think we can pretty much say that the OJ trial would have been much more brief had there not been cameras in there. So what?
I actually wish that trial was going on. It was in 94, 95. And I remember remarking at the time that I wish I had been able to see that trial while I was in law school, because it just would have been eye-opening how things are done and how dumb people can be as well. I mean, when Christopher Darden put that glove on OJ, that isotoner glove over the rubber glove or whatever he had, I think he had a first baseman's mitt on from Bill Buckner or something before he tried to put that glove on. And I remember that night, Charles Grodin, who had a show on MSNBC at the time, the actor Charles Grodin,
sure,
had a news show, and he could do things that your typical political analyst cannot do. He just opened his show for about a minute and a half. He said nothing, but all he did was try to put a glove on over those plastic gloves, and then took the plastic gloves off and and the jury was bamboozled by that.
My fondest memory of the trial days was I actually got jury duty at 26 in California while and that was on the TV in the jury room.
Oh, it was on the TV. Interesting that they would let you watch that.
Yeah,
in the jury room.
Well,
Amazing.
I think it was punishment jury because it was like actually it was the Friday before Memorial Day weekend.
Okay.
And I had skated on several other jury duty.
Oh, okay. Well, that is so you
before.
had to do it. You had to do it.
Yeah.
I remember that I used to talk about Geraldo and how he was covering it. And I thought he was doing a great job of covering it. He'd really redeemed himself after finding nothing in Al Capone's vault, and he was doing it on a daily basis. And for my birthday that year on the radio, Steve Dahl had Geraldo come on the radio and talk to me about it. Later on, Geraldo tried to take my job at WLS when they tried to syndicate him over the Cumulus station. What is your friend called the Cumulus stations again?
Cumulus.
Cumulus, yes, no cumulative audience, but in any event, yeah, that's how the tables turn. Geraldo, fine job back during the OJ trial. So the big problem with McCarthy is that his rule over the House Republicans and his speakership is so tenuous because it's going to come to a head when they have to vote on the debt ceiling. And what is it? The Freedom Caucus, whoever you call them, the rapscallions, they're going to demand some concessions here, which are going to be untenable. I don't know. What do they want? Repealing gay marriage? I mean, what are they looking for? What can they possibly do? But you know that it's going to happen. And there's Michael Strain, a wise economist, said the House is in chaos and the debt ceiling needs to be increased. The firebrand GOP members aren't bluffing. That's the big thing. They're not bluffing like was done before, and the risk of default is higher than in decades. So what are they going to do about it?
Well, why do you have a debt ceiling if you keep raising it? I mean, the debt.
Okay,
ceiling
we know
was
what
put
side
there
you are
for
on.
a
I mean,
reason.
you're with Ashley Babbitt storming through. Nobody told me to stop. Nobody told me to stop. But I mean, what are they looking for? Are they looking for a balanced budget here? Are we going back to the Tea
Oh my
Party?
gosh, seriously?
Well, here's the thing.
What a ridiculous concept.
I'm getting dizzy. Because when I started out in conservative radio, and necessity is the mother of invention, I wanted to stay in sports, but I was forced to do this. And I was drafted to do it. But that's when the Tea Party movement was ascendant. And we were all Tea Partiers. I remember going to Tea Party rallies with Dan Proft at what I'd like to call the Civic Center, the Daily Center. And, that was that moment when that guy on, what was it, CNBC, said, why should I have to pay for everybody's mortgage? And, and now, but everybody forgot about all that. Everybody forgot about the debt. I mean, that was the key to Trump. I remember we were at the Republican convention in 2012, and there was an auxiliary scoreboard, and it kept showing the national debt. And the scoreboard, it's surrounded the entire arena because that's how many figures there are to the national debt. It's I count, and it was going up by billions, with each pause in Clint Eastwood's oration. Granted, he didn't have a teleprompter, but it's just it's astronomical. And then, of course, Trump came in and he realized you can't win an election. You got to promise free things to everybody. You got to care about the guys in the Rust Belt, and you can't start acting like you're a Bain Capital guy and cutting things. Well, now we're going to go back to that. Is that what this Republican caucus is about? I don't think it's going to endear themselves to the Trumpians. No, am I wrong about this?
I don't know. I don't know. When we're looking at the inflation like we have right now, maybe people are saying, "Oh yeah, maybe the people that said printing money will cause inflation were right."
Well, so then my final question on this topic would be, why didn't they just make Paul Ryan the speaker again? I mean, he could come up with a plan. He quit because he couldn't take it anymore. We keep going around in circles on this stuff, and nobody wants to pay the price, right? I mean, nobody.
No.
Social Security is going to be bankrupt pretty soon. You think I put in some money, and then I don't want to have that cut at some point.
Well, I think what's going to happen is, are we coming to parity where one taxpayer will be paid? There'll be one taxpayer for every Social Security recipient.
Oh yeah, it's yeah.
So I think what they're just going to do is just set up a roommate situation. It's like here's your elderly person, feed them and house them.
People were warning about this Ponzi scheme 30, 40 years ago. We knew
Again,
the actuarial tables showed that it was going to be impossible. So, all right, there's another thing going on. Oh, and thanks to the House, the Republicans for abolishing the IRS last couple of days. That was a great gesture. I'm glad we don't have to worry about that anymore. But I do like them having these committees. This committee that's going to study the weaponization of the government, because I mean, you have Biden administration, when they're not squirreling away secret documents, putting the pressure on Facebook and Twitter and trying to put the screws on everybody so as not to report anything untoward about the COVID vaccines and other things as well. So I'm glad that they're going to investigate that stuff, and I hope it's not a question of the boy who cried Bruce Wolf, where people are actually going to listen to the House Republicans, because they're doing a lot of screaming, and at some point you just block out the noise. But there are some salient things to say.
Well, I think they're about 218 IRS audits away from that investigation.
That will be, yeah. You might want to think about your little weaponization study right here. Yeah. I could see Jim Jordan rolling down, putting a jacket and a tie when the IRS agent comes. Oh, sure. No, I won't grandstand anymore. All right. When we come back, we got a lot of stuff to talk about here. I can't believe that San Francisco is putting the screws to the homeless. I mean, being a homeless, it's a feature, not a bug of San Francisco urban life. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap, and oh man, that's some kind of power wash that she's getting right there. I'd like it myself, but I mean, I just don't understand this art dealer. He's kind of like a Nazi progressive. I mean, I know it's an oxymoron, but this is a San Francisco guy.
Well, no, the progressives were the first ones to be big on eugenics.
Sure,
so, I mean,
Woodrow Wilson. Yeah, no, right. Margaret Sanger. Yeah, no.
This was San Francisco. When I first saw it, I thought he was probably Canadian.
So he's attacking a homeless woman who's been bothering him, and he's basically trying to power wash her away. And I mean,
or maybe she just smelled a little funny.
Well, yeah, but first of all, if you're an art gallery guy, be a little creative here. How about a little performance art thing? You bring out some spray paint, do a Jackson Pollock thing with her as the canvas. I just don't. That was a perfect opportunity there. Anyway, somebody videoed him doing that, and he's trying to defend himself by saying she's very psychotic. Well, yeah, that's what homeless people are. I mean, and you never had a problem with this before. Next thing you know, they'll be recalling their state's attorney or DA. So anyway, shame on San Francisco. Meanwhile, in Illinois, now this is a really progressive state. The most comprehensive, quote unquote, assault weapons ban. I know you're not supposed to call them assault weapons. Whatever they're called, AR-15s. However, I was reading a story.
Scary rifles. I think it should be called a scary rifle ban.
Right. I was reading a story in the Tribune. One of these gun dealers lamenting the thing and saying, of the 3,700 guns that he has in stock, 3,000 of them are now illegal. I was thinking, is that all they have? I've never actually been in a gun shop. Is that all they have? Are these AR-15s and the like? I thought they'd have, snub nose 38, something that Peter Gunn used, maybe a musket or two for your nostalgia section.
Well, you got to know you got to know your market. I mean, that's what people want. People want
I know that there's 20 million AR-15s in circulation, and unfortunately, about 8 of them are used each year to kill kids in schools, and and destroy, July 4th for the residents of Highland Park. And it just seems like, this is, and I guess it's going to be, obviously it's going to be tested in court. And I ain't no lawyer. Well, actually I am a lawyer, but I don't know
I'm not that kind of lawyer.
I don't know nothing about, well, where's the money? Where's the dough? No, it's kind of, so, the Heller decision, let us go back a little bit, entrenched or ensconced, the notion or idea that the right to bear arms is an individual right, and it safeguarded that. There was a recent decision called the Bruin decision, Bruen. That's where New York was trying to make it illegal for you to bring a gun outside of your home unless you had a good reason. Okay, well, how about I want to be safe? So no,
sure.
Yeah. So all you could do was keep it in your house. So the Supreme Court said no to that. And there have been some other decisions, in other circuits about basically saying that unless you can go back to something, at the time of the framing of the Constitution, or when the 14th Amendment incorporated the Second Amendment and it covered the states, that you can't ban things. Well, it's hard for me to believe that Illinois won't be able to. I'm not saying it's advisable to do it. I'm saying it's hard for me to believe that Illinois, that this ban against the so-called assault weapons will be found to be unconstitutional. But I don't know. Your
Really?
views.
Really?
You think it will be found to be unconstitutional?
Well,
the ban?
The Second Amendment was not the right to hunt. Okay.
No, I agree.
The purpose of
agree.
purpose of the Second Amendment is to make sure that the population is well armed in the event of foreign invasion, or
you mean if immigration levels get up to about the point where they are right now? Yeah, no, I get it. And no, and also is to keep the revenuers away. Well, of course, if we get rid of the IRS, then we don't have a problem anymore. But
if we stop weaponizing government, we don't need AR-15s.
Yeah, if we get rid of the IRS, I think the argument could be made that it's moot. That we don't have to, we don't need the right to bear arms anymore. But no, the argument in favor of the ban is no, we're not outlawing all guns. We're only outlawing 3,000 out of the 3,700 in this Illinois.
What's he going to do with them? That's a real interesting question, because if he can't sell them, and
I don't know.
Does he have to take them to Indiana? But then what does he do there? He
trade them for fireworks. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I would think that it would be Now, I'm not saying all aspects of this law would be constitutional, but I mean, we did have an assault weapons ban around the turn of the century. It lasted a few years, and I remember then it was sunsetted, I believe. Mm-hmm. But this is all before all these. And when I say mass killings, I'm not trying to hype the numbers by talking about what happens when gangbangers, knock each other out, and even as bad as that is in Englewood. Huh?
That doesn't count.
No, but I'm talking about.
It's no big deal.
About mall shootings, Uvalde, all that, which aren't happening every day, but they're happening frequently enough that it's cause for concern. But like I say, it's about 8 screwy teenagers or 20-year-olds who do this every year and make it bad for the other owners of the other 20 million.
It's just the way. It's just the way kids are. I mean, if they're going to, if they want to be, viewed as being bad, they're going to get the worst gun possible.
Right.
I mean, that's all it is.
Well, I know, but the problem is,
you could get a hunting rifle. You could get a wooden stock hunting rifle that have the exact same capacity.
It's not as sexy.
Exactly.
They sell this.
That's what it is.
It's
not like, oh, this has a wood stock, I guess I'm just going to get some venison.
No,
they would do the same thing.
Now, of course, it'll be interesting to see if the law is upheld, if there is any deterrent effect, and you don't have this. I mean, I don't even know how you measure it. But the problem,
because when you make something illegal, that makes it less sexy, Bruce. You're right.
No, but a lot of these kids, I'm relying on the fact that these kids are lazy, and unless they, if they can't readily get it, through the mail order or whatever, that they won't get it. So, and then you've got the problem. So you take the schools. I mean, when I was growing up, do you remember? Were there security guards in our high schools or in our?
No, I have
the grade schools. Were the doors even locked?
I have a friend.
I don't think the doors were even locked.
I have a friend from Idaho, and he said it was common that him and his gang would all bring their rifles to school, so they could go hunting on the way home. It was. He said it was common.
I understand
they would keep
that.
their guns in their lockers.
Okay, nobody brought a gun to school where I went to, Skokie. Okay, nobody brought a gun to school, but we didn't worry about anybody bringing in a gun to shoot up the school. And now everybody's concerned about their school being shot up. And who needs to live with that? So here's the thing. Here's how I feel about the Second Amendment. Probably in the long run, it should protect these assault weapons, but I don't have to feel good about it. And when I hear like Darren Bailey, we interviewed the guy. He was nice and everything, and I tried to press him a little bit about this, the assault weapons ban, and he said, we just got to enforce all the laws that we have now. Okay, that's kind of a reasonable argument against it. Well, what's he quoted as saying the other day? He's not running anymore, so he's quoted as saying, basically doing his Charlton Heston imitation. If Charlton Heston had 40% body fat, it sounded like
you mean
get
your filthy hands off
from
me,
Alabama.
Get your filthy hands off me, you damn dirty.
And
that's
what endeared Darren Bailey to the middle of the road voters who could have put him over the top and gotten rid of Pritzker, and we wouldn't have this assault weapons ban right now. But no, we had to go for broke on this and nominate the worst possible candidate. Anyway, I just it'll be interesting to see what happens. It's one of the problems is that people say, well, let's repeal the Second Amendment and be like England or Sweden or whatever. I don't know if Sweden has a gun ban. I know England does. But as Kevin Williamson always says, one of the problems we can't do what Sweden does is because we're not Swedish, and it's just not part of. It's just not part of the American ethos.
How many Swedish people do you know that have shot up schools? I mean,
none. So
exactly.
Don't do that.
Exactly.
I'm willing to do like a fantasy league where we trade ethnic things. Like for example, in Europe, it's pretty common to have 15-week abortion bans. They don't let them go right up to birth, which is what they were arguing in the House the other day. Birth. They said, oh, no, we should kill them, even after they're born, maybe up until they're 3 or 4 years old.
I think that until they have a job in their own apartment. That's
right.
what I think.
But I'm thinking, all right, I'll trade you. I'll give you your weapons ban, but you give me, a little fantasy league stuff, but you give me 15-week abortion ban and stop gender affirming care, because New England is against that. They recognize this dysphoria for what it is. Would you make that deal? Would you make that?
Well, England also has national health care. They don't want to pay for it.
Okay. I don't want that either. Oh, damn it. These trades are so impossible. Bruce Wolf and Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
Classified government documents found inside one of President Biden's private offices. The records dating from Biden's time as vice president during the Obama administration. CNN senior justice correspondent Evan Perez has been working the story for us. He's got the new information. Update our viewers on exactly what is going on. Well, Wolf, this is reporting from our colleague Jamie Gangel and our team. We're told that the president's legal team discovered these documents. They say it's fewer than a dozen documents, classified documents, that were discovered in a office that the president had when he was setting up an office with the University of Pennsylvania, the Penn Biden Center here in Washington, D.C. They were cleaning out this office, trying to close it out, and that's when they discovered these documents.
Bruce Wolf and Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap. And yeah, CNN going to the defense of Biden. And I saw a tweet yesterday from Andrew Weissman. Remember him from the Mueller committee, which found nothing. And he's saying, oh, this is totally different from Trump because Trump is obstructing justice, and for Biden, it's an accident. And Molly Hemingway responded to that with a distraction of her own by saying, this is the Andrew Weissman who was part of the Mueller committee, which was a witch hunt. But she didn't actually address Weissman's point, which at that moment seemed valid. But that's when there was one group. And you, for those of you who can't see right now, you, Tim Slagle, are actually sitting in the garage right now where they found the second group of documents somewhere either in the trunk of Biden's Corvette or next to them. Or
the most disturbing part about that discovery is the possibility that Biden is still driving.
Right, exactly. So there's a couple of other things too about this. One is that apparently there's some of these documents are in a folder that was marked personal, which means they're hidden. And also they waited a couple of months to disclose this. Just so happens there was an election a couple of months. They were all keying on Mar-a-Lago.
Well, the first tranche was found right before the election. The second tranche was found December 20th. So it was just a few weeks ago, right before Christmas.
But they knew about this stuff for a while, and the first is at the University of Pennsylvania. That seems innocuous enough. It's at the Biden, Center for Congenital Lying.
The Chinese funded Biden Center for
$54 million from the Chinese. $54 million. And I always think of Hunter, not of his laptop, but sitting on Daddy's laptop as they're flying to an Air Force Two to China, and Hunter's the bag man for all of this. And then you got 54 million coming in, and you're telling me that there's no connection here whatsoever. I would love to see what are in those documents. But anyway, it was just. And
there's not going to be a raid. I'm guessing it's because there's no appetite for going through Dr. Jill's closet.
Well, here's the thing.
Or maybe it's because Sam Britton's no longer with the government. There's no need to go through the underwear drawers. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. So there's all this lying going on. I mean, Biden was on the record saying this is horrible what Trump did, but now he's found with two tranches of this stuff. And I'm wondering, with all the lying that goes on, is anything that George Santos, the duly elected representative for the state of New York, is anything that the little puffery that he had? I mean, he's not like Blumenthal who said he served in Vietnam. I mean, it's all pretty relatively minor stuff, isn't it? That he was on the volleyball team at some university. Well, who cares about volleyball and who cares about the university? I mean, it's just, I mean, even in the aggregate, all of his lying doesn't matter that much. But
I liked his response because it was when he said, "I never said I was Jewish. I said I'm Jewish." Ish.
It's like, what is the meaning of ish? As Clinton might say in a deposition. Yeah, no, he was ish. Right. No, it's would make a great legislator. And I would say, just answering like that, I give him at least a pass on taking the bar exam. He's just, I think he's placed out with answers like that. Anyway, so that's the document fiasco. Now, meanwhile, Biden visits the border, and of course, he doesn't see any migrants, quote unquote.
Well, no, they hosed them all off the streets before he got there,
a la San Francisco.
Actually, the most disturbing thing about that San Francisco thing is that not only was he attacking a homeless woman, he was doing it on a non-watering day.
Yes, it's not Tuesday. Tuesday we attack the homeless. We're crying out loud. Okay, so Biden is there, and meantime they're both fighting Title 42 in the courts, but they need Title 42 to try to keep the migrants out. They've got that. Then they've got this parole program, which I think very poorly named. I mean, do you really want to attach these wonderful new citizens, soon to be of this country?
They should call it no cash bail.
Yeah, right. Parole. It's parole, but that's not. I actually saw a rather benign analysis of it in the Morning Dispatch, Jonah Goldberg's publication. A guy from the Cato Institute was quoted as saying, well, I mean, the idea, let's look at it in a light most favorable to the Biden administration. The idea is if you have this app that's going to let you into the country in an orderly fashion, that we won't have the hordes coming to the border. Instead, people are going to go on the app. And so the guy from the Cato Institute says, so theoretically, I mean, that's possible, but it's all in the implementation. Yeah, it sure is. And that it's not going to do any good. It's not. It's just a way of saying that he did something. And
that they're not fleeing poverty if they can afford an app, an iPhone. Yeah.
Well, who knows? I mean, everybody's got one nowadays. So anyway. Meantime, it's funny that Lori Lightfoot talk about putting both of her foots in her mouths, in one mouth.
Well, they're light. They're light.
Yeah, they're very light. It can fit two. Two things already. One is that she wanted to put migrants on the south side of Chicago, and guess what? The south side of Chicago doesn't want the migrants. I mean, it's the ultimate NIMBY. Not in my backyard. I mean, or back of the yards, whatever. It's just nobody wants.
Where does Lori live? I'm guessing Andersonville. Just a guess.
Oh, very good. Yeah, there you go. But I mean, they don't want them. Yeah. We don't want your kind here. Don't dump them in the south side of Chicago. All right. Yeah. Then the next thing that Lori did, I don't know if maybe I have it out of order here. But somebody had some sort of plan to get students,
sure,
as for credit to campaign for Lori. Lori lives in Albany Park, Logan Square, I've been told. Okay, so there you go. But to get students,
pretty close to Andersonville.
Yeah, to get students to do this. And then she retracted it, said there was a mistake to send that out. I mean, hey, as far as I'm concerned, if it requires any kind of reading and writing and ciphering, Jethro Bodine, again, like Santos placed out of the having to take the law exam, I would say if these kids can actually accomplish something like that, then give them credit for it.
Is it legal? Is it legal, counselor?
Probably not.
Well, really, to hire students, to hire student interns on your
they're
campaign?
Not even hired. This is for credit, but whatever. I mean, it's a great ecosystem, the Chicago Public Schools. You've got the teachers union, which runs everything, and then they hire the mayors who supposedly have to negotiate with the teachers unions, and it's just beautiful, and the students get jobbed on the whole thing. So at least let's get the students, in on the action, and give them credit for helping Lori.
Here's a great suggestion for Willie Wilson. Actually hire students for Chicago CPS students for cash. It's why just give it away at the gas station? Actually, have them hand it out.
Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. Hey, going back to the immigration for a second. So the Colorado governor, he's Democrat. He pulled one of those DeSantis and Abbott things by sending migrants, including to cities including Chicago, and then he pulled back on that. But even he did that. I mean, so nobody wants them, but nobody wants to do anything about it, and nobody wants to prevent them from coming across the border. So, in any event,
it's so do you still got a gas stove there, Bruce?
Oh yeah. How about that?
Huh.
How about that? That was like, I think that flamed out. Pardon the expression. I mean, that didn't even make a whole news cycle. Before you could breathe in the toxic fumes. Pardon my Sylvia Plath.
I thought 78 RPM records were history until I saw how fast that spun.
Oh yeah, I mean, the Consumer Product Safety Commission came out with an edict saying we're not going to ban gas stoves, especially after you have AOC tweeting that this is the worst thing in the world to have gas stoves, and then there are pictures of her making food with a gas stove. You got Jill Biden, pictures of her doing that. You know, everybody wants to show off their culinary skills. Electric stoves also cause more fires. You can't flambe with an electric stove.
and here's the thing. All the electrical generating plants have converted over to natural gas. So even an electric stove is burning gas.
Enough said. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
Well, Oscar Mayer has a job opening for you to drive the Weinermobile. The company is encouraging recent college grads to apply to become a hot dogger. That's what the company calls its team of drivers who go around the country to promote Oscar Mayer products. There are only 12 of these positions, and there will be a lot of competition, you'd imagine. Applications are due before the end of the month. Good luck if you want.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap, and you know,
I always wanted to be a Weinermobile driver.
Well, I was just going to say that, you know, this is the time when we get to do double entendres and everything like that toward the end of the show. Yeah,
that's actually the first qualification, is that you have to be able to say I drive a Weinermobile without snickering.
I would have a hard time parallel parking a Weinermobile. Aren't there department store Santas that are out of work now who automatically, you know, would just go and drive the Weinermobile? I mean, that seems to me the seasonal work. And then you pick grapes in the summer.
Spirit Halloween in the fall.
Something like that. You work for Cesar Chavez's United Farm Workers Union in the summer, and you know it gives you all kinds of. It's maybe do a little construction work. Well, no, that's a tough job to get. Have you ever seen the Weinermobile in person? I've never.
I have.
Pictures.
It's
Really?
It's parked in a lot near where I work when I go to Minneapolis. So I see it. I see it all the time.
Have you ever gone inside? Have you viewed it?
I
mean, I've been the closest thing I think, you know, to that is I've been in the U-505 sub at the Marine Museum of Science and Industry. I'm thinking that's as close as you're gonna get.
Like size matters.
Right. So I thought we'd get a little dirtier on the Weinermobile, but I guess we don't have the energy to get it up for that in our dotage. I wanted to skip over. You know, I've been meaning to talk to you for weeks about the latest TV shows, and I've got a list of Netflix shows. So many of them, I can't even remember them anymore. There was one. Have you seen Bad Girls? I think it was called, about these Irish women, these Irish sisters. Who
I have not.
Okay, well, all right. The husband of one of them is a real bad guy, and the sisters are accused of killing him. But spoiler alert, it turns out it's the supposedly nice wife who wound up doing it. But yeah, it was great. It's fun. Of course, now that I've told you about it, nobody would want to see it.
I think my wife watched that one.
Okay, it was fun. We mentioned that we both kind of gave up on Wednesday, the Addams Family show.
I went all the way through.
Okay, would you go back for another season in it?
Yeah, I don't know. It had its
gave up.
It had its moments. It did have its moments. Like there was one scene that kind of amused me. They had a statue of an abominable snowman, and somebody goes, "Oh, is that the abominable snowman?" And they go, "Oh, you can't say that. It's a Yeti." So I mean,
okay. All right.
Nobody uses that term anymore. So I mean, so they did kind of poked fun a little both sides.
All right. And I searched, somebody criticized Gomez Adams that, he doesn't look like Raul Julia. Well, but the original Gomez Adams from the Gahan Wilson cartoons, I guess
Charles
Adams. What am I thinking of? Whatever. Charles Adams.
Looked exactly like him.
Looked like that.
Exactly like him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. I can't remember now. Did you watch White Lotus?
I did not.
All right. Well, because I had a lot of questions about the finale. There's a spoiler alert. You see Jennifer Coolidge in the center there? I mean, she's great in it. And she's bamboozled. And interestingly, they portray these gay guys as being evil, which is, it's kind of interesting. Now, they can be well-rounded. They can also be
Dexter was gay Dexter was gay and evil, wasn't he?
Dexter was not gay.
He was not gay?
No.
Huh.
He was homicidal, not homosexual. I think. Yeah.
He was gay. He was gay in 6 Feet Under. That's why I assumed that he.
Oh, that guy. Oh, the actor.
The actor. Yeah. I thought that was Dexter.
Yeah. You're typecasting him. But anyway,
that's why you don't play gay.
Right. The spoiler alert. Last episode, she falls over on the side of the boat and dies. And I got to tell you, her huge body tripping over the side of a boat and Humpty Dumptying into the sea. Anybody who didn't laugh at that has a heart of stone. Pardon my Oscar Wilde. Yeah, it was good. But there was a lot of other stuff. All right, we'll forget about that. There's another. How about other shows that you haven't seen? Firefly Lane.
Yeah, my wife. I'm pretty sure my wife watches that one.
Okay, so let's have your wife on next week, and we'll talk about that, because this one is Katherine Heigl's in it, and she's very, very good, and it's about the news business and all that, but you didn't see that one either. Okay,
no, Bruce, if you gave me a list,
to be a very
that's fine. If you gave me a list of shows that you want to talk about, I'll watch them.
No, it's fine. I like this. I like this conversation that goes absolutely nowhere. What I really enjoy, because that's what real life is like. You go out to dinner with other couples, whatever, and you see this. No, you see that. No, it's just like past the tiramisu.
There's so much. There's so much to watch now. I mean,
it's really too much, and that there's going to scale back on that. Because they're, these Netflixes, etc., are losing money, and they're producing way too much content, and they are definitely going to cut back on that. But Firefly Lane it's so soap opera-y. I at one point
that's probably why my wife likes it.
I wanted the Matt LeBlanc character from Friends when he played Dr. Drake Ramore, I guess, that we played on the soap opera Days of Our Lives. I just wanted him to show up at some point for some comic relief in there. All right, there's one other one. All right, I'm rolling the dice on this one. The Patient. Yeah, got it. Bingo. The Patient.
No, didn't watch it.
But you knew what I was going to be talking about.
I'm psychic.
Yeah, you don't even watch it, and we're watching it right now, and it's so unsettling to me. Well, first of all, because I'm Jewish, so I walked. I think I've told you the story that that instead of seeing before Seinfeld did his thing about making out in the theater while watching Schindler's List, before that, my wife and I were supposed to go see Schindler's List at the Edens 2, but we came up to the Edens 1, and something called Ace Ventura: Pet Detective was there, so we went to that instead. And that was before Seinfeld, because who needs to? I know it. It's there. It's sure. I don't want to be reminded about it. And this, has some Holocaust elements, and it's it's about
The Patient. Not Ace Ventura.
Right. No. Jim Carrey did not portray Adolf Eichmann. No, but the patient it's about a psychiatrist who is kidnapped by a guy who has this compulsion to kill people, but he wants therapy to end it. He doesn't want to do it anymore. And and that's the premise. It's a little bit out there, but the psychiatrist himself he has these problems because his wife was a very liberal Jewish person, and then his son rebelled against the wife and became an Orthodox Jewish person. And it's very unsettling all the way through. And I can't wait for it. We're not done with it yet. We got like 2 or 3 more episodes to watch. But so can you binge on it so we can talk about it next week? No, I won't make you do that. But it's what are you watching? Are you watching anything?
Watching The Wire.
Again, or for the first time?
I never watched The Wire the first time.
How
through.
dare you, sir?
Yeah,
How dare you show up here? Now, interestingly, there's a guy who reviews for National Review. He's black, and I don't know why that's necessarily relevant. But
not like there's a problem
really
with that.
No problem. And his name is Armand White. And I've actually communicated with him on Twitter because he's very accessible. I think people are afraid of him, but he ripped The Wire as being so. It was cliched. I hope I'm saying that right. And then David Simon, who created it, once on Twitter, I just had a bone to pick with him about something else, not about The Wire, and he blocked me. He was so sensitive, and I'm thinking, and I loved The Wire. I absolutely loved it, and I assume you love it too, right?
Oh God, oh yeah. We're just finishing up season 4 right now, so we're almost done. But
that's the first thing that who's the star who plays McNulty? I can't believe that he's one of those Cockney British guys who puts on the American accent. I didn't
know.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
He's a British guy who plays Irish.
Prince Charles. He plays Prince Charles in the latest season of The Crown. So The Wire's a great show, and I feel like when Gene Siskel used to say, "I love the characters." And, well, what do you mean, Gene? I mean, we're not going very deeply into here, but I like it. Yeah, it's good. No, I didn't see it. We got that range there, but anyway, all right. So you're watching The Wire.
I loved how bureaucracy is ruining both the police force and the school system. It just it's a very, very libertarian, very subtle libertarian.
I'll close it on this. I like the lesbian scenes. And Bruce Wolf and Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
And that's the Weekly Wrap on radio and television. Follow Bruce at Bruce Wolf Shy on Twitter and Tim at timslagle.com. The Weekly Wrap with Bruce Wolf, a CP Pods production.